Hello and welcome to D20 Woodworking. Today we are going over our top 25 board games. It's the 2025 edition. So just so you know, these aren't board games that necessarily came out in 2025, but they're games that I've played and I really enjoy. And I just want to show them off. The main reason is because I feel like I've done top 10 lists in the past and people are like, well, what about this game or that game? And I'm like, oh, that's number 11 or 12 or something like that. So I want to do something that was a little more filled out as a list so we have more to talk about. Really quick, do me a huge favor, make sure the like button, hit subscribe, all that fun stuff really helps out. Let's start with number 25. We're starting off this list with Cloudspire from Chip Theory Games. This is a MOBA inspired tower defense strategy game for 1 to 4 players. You're controlling a unique faction, sending minions and heroes across modular neoprene mats, while building defensive spires to protect your fortress. As a 2-player game, this is one of my favorites. It's absolutely a fantastic game. The factions can be a little tricky to learn at first, but once you get them down, it's pretty straightforward in how the gameplay works. Plus, the cheat sheets are pretty good that they give you. My biggest complaint is that I wish the solo mode was a little more expanded. Basically, they give you a book where it's like different scenario setups and you're trying to like achieve certain things. I think there is a way to just do like an endless loop of enemies that come at you. So you could do that too if you really wanted to. That's the only thing I kind of wish is that the solo experience was a bit better. But as a 2-player game, absolutely fantastic. For number 24, Vindication is an open world fantasy game where you play as a disgraced hero washed ashore, trying to reclaim your honor. It's a strategic Euro style game with resource management, area control, and character development. You're recruiting companions, exploring regions, and earning conviction to restore your reputation. Now, the big complaint of this game is that it's a very Kickstarter type game, quote unquote, where there's where there's a lot of like minis and stuff that don't really like improve the game. There's a lot of like extra stuff that you don't really need for the game, but they threw it in the box anyway. But anyway, there are a lot of cubes on the board and honestly a lot of unnecessary pieces with it. But the gameplay is pretty solid. It's one of those games that I can teach pretty quickly and people get kind of the idea of it pretty fast, but it still has a lot of depth to it. At its core, it's basically a cube pusher game, but in a good way. It's a good cube pusher game. Teotihuacan is my number 3 or 23 board game on this list. Teotihuacan is a worker placement and rondel driven Euro game that is set in ancient Mesoamerica. You're guiding workers around the Great Pyramid of the Sun, gathering resources, advancing technology, and constructing the pyramid itself. Your workers level up as a dice system, so it's like dice worker placement basically, and eventually they will ascend. I actually rarely play this one multiplayer. I think I've done it once, maybe twice, and it's not bad, but the way I really enjoy it is solo. It does take a while to play the game, but the AI system, solo system, whatever you want to call it, is really, really good. I still like just like having the temple out there and being able to construct the little things on the board to do different things with my worker placements. So that the board is always kind of changing in that sense. So working with the temple and the gameplay structure to me is always super interesting. It's one of those heavier games that, like I said, takes a while to play, just physically to play. But when I do, I always have a really good time with it. For number 22, Set a Watch from Rock Manor Games is a cooperative fantasy game where you control a party of adventurers traveling across 9 locations, I believe, to stop an unhallowed from rising. Each round, one adventurer stays in the camp to take support actions while the others take watch, basically, and fight monsters using dice and unique character abilities. I still haven't done the most recent expansion yet, so I've only played the first 2. But the original one is an incredibly good solo game. It all fits in the box and you play it like in the box as well, which is pretty interesting in how it works. The mechanic where you have to rest one of your heroes off to the side and fight with the other 3, I think is really interesting and it's cool because it's fun decision making that you have to do. It's a smallish box game, right? It's not that big. It's as big as a Blockbuster video box. For a VHS. But it's probably that size, maybe a little bit bigger. But it's a really good game. You can get a pretty decent price nowadays. I do recommend it. It's a fun solo game that you can kind of play over and over and over. Number 21 is going to be Black Sonata, which is a solo deduction game where you are hunting the mysterious Dark Lady from Shakespeare's sonnets through Elizabethan London. The hidden movement mechanic is handled by a clever card-driven system where you're tracking her location and gathering clues to deduce her identity. It still honestly amazes me to this day that they were able to get a solo deduction game to work. I don't fully understand how it works. Like I've played the game dozens of times at this point, And I have a really rough idea on how it works, but I'm not 100% sure. And that to me is just kind of part of the beauty of it. It sounds like it shouldn't really be possible, but it is, and it's brilliant in my opinion. And I hope they come out with more games like this. The Dark Lady Hidden Mechanic card is just really cool and interesting in itself. Highly recommend this. It's pretty easy to learn. There's a lot of setup in the beginning because you have to stack the cards a certain way, but once you get through that, it's fine. But it's pretty easy to play once you get going. And like I said, the deduction part of it is really fun and really cool. Number 20 is the Star Wars deck building game. This is Fantasy Flight Games head-to-head deck building game for 2 players. One player takes the Empire while the other takes the Rebels, and then they come out with other expansions as well, and they're coming out with more because Caleb Grace is really leaning into this. And you're both buying cards from this shared galaxy row. This, excuse me, strengthen your deck and destroy each other's bases. First to destroy 3 bases wins the game. It's been a lot of fun to play with my wife. It's something that we enjoy. It's really quick to teach, which was really, really nice. The only downfall, I would say there's 2 downfalls of the game, is that it can get a little lopsided where suddenly like the other person is just able to, actually the 2 are intertwined, I should say. The other person is able to build out a lot faster because Galaxy Row is just stacked toward like their advantage. And there's not as many things for you in there. Now, usually there's like cards that you both can buy, which works out. And there's like a standard card deck, like most deck builders, that you can just buy that standard card. So you have to be a little careful with that, but there are instances where it can get lopsided, but it's a pretty quick game overall. So I really don't mind it happening now and again because you can get a couple gameplays in if you got a few hours. I'm also a huge Star Wars fan, so I really just like Star Wars in general. So number 20, the Star Wars deck building game. For number 19, I feel like I might get a little grief for this, but I don't care. It's a party game. It's Wavelength. It's a party game where you're trying to get your opponent or your teammate, sorry, to guess where a hidden target sits on the spectrum between 2 opposing concepts like hot to cold or good movie villain to bad movie villain. One person gives a clue and the team tries to guess where the dial is pointing. Now, again, people might judge this for me because you're on these lists, you're not supposed to put party games or whatever, but I don't care. This game is incredibly fun. We play with a group of quote unquote gamers with this game and they have a great time. We play with people that aren't quote unquote gamers and they have a really good time. It's really easy to pick up. It's just really fun. The clues that you give are partially not just like good clues, but it's also clues that they would have to understand why you would give that clue and how you think about things or how objectively you would think about things. It's really kind of fascinating because there's different ways to approach it. So I really enjoy it. If you're into party games, highly recommend Wavelength. Number 18 is Trip Lock from Chip Theory Games. It's a steampunk themed lock picking game using memory and deduction. You're basically manipulating stacks of chips to match diagrams using dice driven actions. I don't honestly even know if they produce this game anymore. I really hope they do, but it's a really good game. I love the system of the chips as the lockpicking mechanic that you're using basically your memory for the most part. That's the key part, to remember where the chips are, how they're facing, and then when they rotate, how they're going, where they are, and whatnot. It's really, really fun. It's really interesting. It feels different as a game, and I hope it's one of those games that if it isn't available anymore, that maybe you can find kind of cheap and pick it up and try it, because it's typical Chip Theory games where everything's high quality. But I hope they do revisit it at some point because I think it was a really interesting concept. And then that Chip Theory has done more smaller games. I hope they bring it back. Number 17 is Hoplomachus Victorum. So this is a standalone campaign game in the Hoplomachus series from Chip Theory Games. It's a tactical gladiator combat style game where you're progressing through a map and fighting in different arenas or leveling up your gladiator or collecting loot. This is just a game that I need to get to the table more often. I remember liking it a lot. It was a lot of fun. I think I last played it in January, February, March, somewhere in there. My biggest issue is that the campaign can take a really long time to play, and putting it away and putting it back out isn't too bad, but it does take some time. The recent expansion, or at least the recent rule set, kind of has a quicker version of playing the game that allegedly plays through it all faster. I haven't done it yet, but I do want to try it because I heard it improves the system a lot for people like me that don't have time to play a campaign that could take 3 to 4 hours. So love the game. I always loved Hoplomachus. That's my only complaint about it, is that it takes a bit long for the campaign. For number 16, we have Radlands from Roxley Games. This is a 2-player only dueling card game that is set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. You've got three camps to protect at the bottom, and you're playing people and using events, and water is basically your main resource. It's like a 3 by 3 grid, so you have to be strategic when you place people to defend your bases, but also to attack them. Every card can be played or junked for a quick event effect. Sorry. If you like two-player dueling card games, I highly recommend it. It's super straightforward, easy to learn, and while it can be a bit swingy, it doesn't take that long to play. So if you get like absolutely stomped on, or you stomp on your opponent, you can quickly set up and play it again. It does not take that long. The biggest downside, like I said, is just getting absolutely destroyed. But past that, it's a really fun game. The rules are pretty simple. We always have a great time playing it. Number 15 is Endeavor Age of Sail, and this is a game that I played very early in this year, and it's a medium weight Euro game about global exploration and empire building during the Age of Sail. You're managing industry, culture, finance, and politics while sending your ships to open different shipping routes on this giant board and establishing a presence in different regions. It's a really interesting game in how it works, where it's somewhere, to me, they rate it as a medium weight game. I always think it's a little heavier than that sometimes, but I love the way that you have to balance your personal board that you have out there, basically solo, like leveling up your board to make it stronger and better so you can do better actions. Like I said, it only gets to the table now and again. It's one of those that I really want to play more often. I know they came out with a second version with like the deep sea or whatever the sea one is. And I heard it's even better. I just haven't gotten that one to the table yet. I own it, but at one point we'll play it, just not yet. Number 14 is Arkham Horror, the card game. So this is from Fantasy Flight Games. It's a cooperative living card game set in the Lovecraftian Arkham Horror universe. You build decks as investigators, tackling narrative-driven campaigns where your choices have lasting consequences, and they truly do. It affects the rest of the game. I want to love this game. I really do. And I love the idea of it being story-driven. The gameplay is pretty good and pretty straightforward in how it works. There's a few tricky things in there with like attack of opportunities and whatnot. But my biggest issue is that recently, with the past few expansions, not all of them, but a handful of them, that they've gotten a little too convoluted at times. And it's not all of the expansions, I want to stress that. But there are some where there's like, it feels like 10 different things you have to check on the board constantly. And if you don't, it kind of messes up your game. It feels like it feels like that they want us to do more because the rule set, not that it's simple, but it's more streamlined, I guess. So there's only so much they can do. But it feels like they just want to do more, and they constantly want the player to do more and be more engaged with the whole system. And I rather just go back to the basics, right? With Path to Carcosa or the Dunwich Legacy, or even the Forgotten Age. Those campaigns were always a bit more simpler and straightforward. The one thing I will also warn with this game is that you pretty much on the later cycles need to play it two-handed as a solo player. If you're playing two-player, it's fine. Or three-player or four-player, it's fine. But as a solo player, nowadays you basically have to play two-handed. Just know that going in, because it's really tough to do everything with one investigator. Number 13, I have Lost Ruins of Arnak. It's probably the best combination of worker placement and deck building that I've ever played in a game. Basically, you're sending out workers on this giant board. There are different dig sites to acquire cards, to research the temple track, and discovering ancient guardians and battling them and all that fun stuff. Like I said, it's a big map, and it can be a little finicky to teach at times because there's a big table presence with it, and you have your own little board, and they have their own little board and whatnot. And it's very much I guess like a point salad type game where there's just points to be gotten everywhere. But once the other people get the hang of it, and they will usually in your first teach, it's really fun. And once they go through the motions, it becomes straightforward. It's just a lot to learn in the beginning, but then it becomes kind of straightforward. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. The expansions are pretty good too. I don't think I've played all of them, but I've definitely played some of them. Really, really fun game. Like I said, the biggest drawback is just that initial teach. But if you're playing with people that already know how to play the game, super strong and good. They have a solo mode now. I have not tried it yet, but I will at some point. All right, number 12, we have Hostage Negotiator. Now, it's a solo card game where you're a crisis negotiator trying to save hostages from an abductor. You're playing with conversation cards, rolling dice to build rapport, and attempting extractions before things go sideways. Now, massive caveat with putting this at number 12 on my list is that it has to be played in career mode. So you need one box and the career box. Maybe you could just do it with the career box. I don't know. I own it all now, so I'm not 100% sure. But the career mode itself is fantastic. I mean, it's so incredibly good. The sessions can take a little bit long, but you can take a break whenever you want, because or I should say the sessions collectively can be long. The individual sessions aren't too bad, but that career mode is what takes it to another level. So if you're just playing the basic version, I know a lot of people will be like, the dice rolling is really hard. Like everything is working against me. And I think they worked out a lot of the kinks of this game with Final Girl, which is also a very good game. But if you don't mind a more punishing game where you're going to lose a lot, like you're going to lose a lot. And in the career mode, losing isn't always necessarily the end. Kind of like Arkham Horror, where we discussed. Uh, Basically, losing is not good, obviously, but it doesn't end your game all the time. It might eventually at some point, but not all the time. It's also the career mode is pretty randomized, so you get to basically play a different experience each time you do it. I really recommend this game, but you do need the career mode expansion and some other stuff to really just kind of make it a more interesting game overall and not have it be like too repetitive. All right, we're almost to the top 10, but first, number 11 is Lord of the Rings, the card game. So this is from Fantasy Flight Games as well. It's a cooperative living card game that really kind of started it all for me with LCGs. You're building decks with heroes and allies from Middle Earth and taking on scenarios from the Fellowship's Journey and beyond. I wish they would still support this game. I think you could still buy the re-released expansions, but not everything that's out there. Almost especially the newer stuff, almost every single cycle is really good. I'm personally very fortunate to own all the cycles, including the nightmare packs that are impossible to find nowadays. And honestly, if you have the nightmare packs, I think you will rank this game pretty high, generally speaking, because some of the scenarios in the beginning that were easier or there were ways to exploit systems were really fixed with those packs. And I really hope one day they reprint all that stuff because I think it'll be worth it. The saga boxes, if you're interested in getting into this game, get the core box, get the saga boxes because you're basically playing through the books. You can argue it's like playing through the movies too, but mostly the books. But regardless, it's a lot of fun to go through that kind of experience. The only downside I would say with playing true solo all the time is that there are certain scenarios that just don't work true solo. It's the same issue that I had with Arkham Horror, where basically you kind of have to play two-handed. Now, for Lord of the Rings, playing two-handed isn't too bad. Your board state will just be absolutely massive because you'll have a lot of cards out there on the table. And there are a handful of decks, probably a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, that can solo the entire game, like the entire thing. You may lose a bunch on certain scenarios, but it can solo the entire thing. My only issue is that some of the decks that are more interesting and maybe more fun really are better as a 2-player deck. So you have to play two-handed. So just know that going into it, you're probably going to play two-handed a lot. But there are decks that exist, including the one deck from C-Stan, that will plow through the entire game. Nightmare version does not matter. Now we cracked the top 10 with Marvel Legendary. This is from Upper Deck. It's a cooperative deck building game where you're recruiting Marvel heroes to defeat a mastermind villain. Each game you're selecting a handful of heroes, a mastermind, a villain deck or two, and the scheme that's on the top of the table. The combinations of all that is basically endless and you can randomize it all the time. I'm so happy I found this game because I did not get into it early on. And because of that, at least one of my biggest regrets that there's like 2 big box expansions that I just can't find and they're crazy to find on eBay, like absolutely insane. I think it's Civil War and the X-Men box. I just can't find. Apparently there's really good stuff in there too, which is just unfortunate. So that's my only regret with the game, but it is a game that if you like Marvel theming and you like the idea of managing Marvel heroes, you're not like if you have Spider-Man and Wolverine in the deck, you're not Spider-Man and Wolverine. It's like you're managing Spider-Man and Wolverine. So it's a little bit different in that sense, but it's a really good deck builder overall. When DC Legendary comes out any day now, well, not any day, any month now, I'm hoping next year in 2026 it will come out. I'm going to jump in right away. I am so excited for that game. If it's anything like Marvel Legendary, I think it'll be absolutely phenomenal. But this is a game that, as I recently did an interview with Bagel Top Games, you can check out that video, that you could still buy the core boxes. You could still buy all the small expansion boxes. They're all still in stock. And if they fall out, like if they get out of stock, they usually reprint them. So you can still get the vast majority of the content, just the bigger boxes are hard to find nowadays. Now for number 9, we're going to have Hoplomachus Remastered from Chip Theory Games. I have the original as well, which I also really still enjoy playing. It's impossible to find now, but I enjoy that one, but I will play the remastered one more often. You're managing a team of gladiators, tacticians. You're trying to gain crowd favor through a different battle system on these giant arena maps. If you know anything about chip theory games, their chips, their poker chips are absolutely amazing. They're gorgeous. I love them. They feel good moving around on the map, which is like a weird thing. Like not just tactically, but like just like the feel of the pieces is amazing to move around. Now I know a lot of people would say Victorium is better, and I get why they say that, but to me there's something special about the remastered version. Maybe it's because I love the original version so much. But like I said, I still own it. I still play it. The remastered one is basically replaced it at this point. But there are times I just want to go in there and I just want to punch things in the face, right? And that's what Hoplomachus, the remastered version is. You're moving around, you're rolling dice to punch things in the face, and that's really nice, really fun. Um, it's also not a complicated game. I feel like a lot of chip theory games can get complicated with all their keywords, and there are keywords in this, but it's not too hard because there's only a handful of keywords to really know, and the cheat sheets are super helpful. So if you like rolling dice, if you like punching things in the face and kind of quick gameplay, Hoplomachus Remastered may be for you. All right, for number 8, we mentioned Hostage Negotiator before. Now we have Final Girl from Van Ryder Games. This is a solo horror game where you're the last survivor in a slasher film scenario. You're managing your action economy, searching for items, saving victims, and trying to take down the killer before time runs out. Each feature film box brings a new killer and location, and this is, in my opinion, one of the best solo games ever made. Just trying to be objective about it. It's probably top 5, again, from the objective standpoint. So I'm personally not into horror films or horror related things, generally speaking. Like I like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, the video games, but not necessarily like horror movies. And that doesn't matter because I still enjoy the game so much. The way it plays is amazing. I highly recommend it. Everything's modular, so if you have one box, you can mix the killer for one box with a location elsewhere. I don't even do that much. I just like the killer and their location, and it's really good and really fun. Just know that if you go down the Final Girl rabbit hole, it does get crazy expensive because you're going to want to buy all the boxes. I think they're working on series 4 now, and there's like 5 or 6 boxes in each series, so that can obviously add up. So just know that going into it. But I think once you start playing it, you'll be kind of hooked with the game, as I am. Like I said, it's a really fun solo game. You don't have to be a horror fan. You just have to like rolling dice and playing cards. Number 7 may be a little bit of a shocker. This might be my biggest shocker on the list, and that is the Metal Gear Solid board game from CMON Games. It's a cooperative tactical stealth game based on the original Metal Gear Solid game. You're playing as either Solid Snake, Meryl, Gray Fox, or Otacon, sneaking through Shadow Moses, avoiding patrols, and taking boss fights. The stealth mechanic captures the Metal Gear tension perfectly. Like you have to hide the bodies, you have to move around, you can use a cardboard box, you have to knock on walls, all that fun stuff. The thing with this game is I'm just a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, generally speaking. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. I really love the whole series, and I wanted to play just Solid Snake in that world on a board game. And that's what you get to do. You get to live that out. Pretty much the entire first game. There's a few things they skip, but it's very minor things. But generally speaking, the entire game is right there. My biggest wish for this game moving forward is that I hope they do the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th games. Like I don't want them to stop. I really enjoy this game and I enjoy this world. If you love Metal Gear Solid and you want that feel of sneaking around on a board, I think you will also love it. It's really cool. The components are pretty decent. The box organization isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So it's not too hard to get to the table, but it is a really fun game. Number 6, we have Star Wars Unlimited, or SWU, which is Fantasy Flight's TCG that launched, I think, just last year or the year before. So basically, you're building decks with leaders and bases, deploying units to ground and space areas. So there's 2 different areas in which you can fight, and you're trying to destroy your opponent's base. To me, I own a few TCGs, and this is the best one I own so far. I enjoy the process of being able to draw like the 2 cards in the beginning and being able to put one down as your resource, and your face down resource cards like you exhaust to like pay for other cards. I think that's really cool. It allows you to get to see more of your deck, in my opinion, compared to like a Lorcana or a One Piece or a Magic the Gathering or something like that, or a Pokemon. So because of that, I find it a little snappier and quicker. And also, I'm taking a turn, you're taking a turn. I'm taking a turn, you're taking a turn, right? Like I like that back and forth. I think it keeps people engaged, especially if you're not like, I wouldn't say I'm a crazy TCG player. Like I'm not a competitive one. So I'm sure maybe competitive TCG people won't like that as much. But if you're more of a casual person that wants to get into a little bit of TCG space, I think this is really great. They have good starter decks that are really fun and interesting. And like I said, it's just something that my wife and I love playing together. It's really, really fun. I mentioned before, I'm a massive Star Wars fan, so that on top of it kind of really helps out. Big downside, obviously, this has become a money suck if you're trying to chase like packs or cards or whatever. All right, number 5 is me kind of cheating, but I would have felt bad putting all these games in separate spots on the list because people might have been like, you could have just done it as one. So I decided to put these all together, and that is the Spire's End collection of games at this point. Now, there's more coming out after this video comes out, but right now there's the original Spire's End, Hildegard, and Rangataki. So it's from Favreau Adventures. Like I said, it's a solo and cooperative choose your own path card game. And it's kind of like think of it as like a choose your own adventure game. But you meet with tactical combat, and there's, especially in the first game, stunning black and white red artwork. It's like these big old cards. But the second game feels much different with Hildegard because it's smaller cards and more colorful. Rangataki, same exact thing. I love this game. I really, really, really do. And as of right now, I'd probably say that Hildegard is still my favorite of the three. Then Rangataki, then the original Spire's End. That is not to say the original Spire's End is bad. I will play it any day of the week. That's just my personal favorite right now because I know people will ask. What I like is each one plays differently. So it's not just like a reskin of things. Like when you play first Spire's End versus Rangataki or versus Hildegard, the mechanics of it are going to be much different each time, which is why I don't have a problem recommending all the games to people. It's not just slightly different things. Also, there's different narrative decisions that are made. Some of them get a little more complicated in story, some of them get more into lore. It's all over the place with that. Greg's coming out with Spire's End Volume 2 really soon. And I think you can pre-order it now. You can watch the podcast I had with him, and he kind of shows off some of the cards and whatnot. But it's absolutely fantastic game. It's Spire's End. Like I said, choose your own adventure. It's a true choose your own adventure. You just plop in a deck of cards down and you're just working your way through it. And that's really, really great. Every time a product is announced for this, because he sometimes sells little packs of cards, it's an automatic buy for me every single time. And that's just because of how good the game is. For number 4, I have Unmatched from Restoration Games. It's a tactical skirmish game where you play legendary characters from across fictional battle, head to head. You could do like Bigfoot versus Robin Hood, or some dinosaurs versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The asymmetric deck design means that every character plays differently. This game was recommended to me by my chat on one of the live streams, so make sure you hang out on twitch.tv/G20Woodworking, or here on YouTube, the live stream, or on kick.com. But I'm so excited that they actually did recommend this to me. I think I own almost everything, if not everything, for this game. And it's because to teach the game takes 5 minutes. To master the game takes a long time. Really, you have 3 actions, generally speaking, that you can do on your turn. You can do move and draw. You can do an attack, or you can play a tactic card. And you're allowed to do 2 of them on your turn. You can do the same one twice if you want. It seems so basic, but there's so much depth to that because you need to maneuver around the board. You need to play your cards in the right order. Each hero that you play as has a different like hook that they have that makes them interesting and different. They all have different lives. Like there's so much going on, and the maps themselves too have gotten pretty cool, where the maps interact in different ways and have you do different things. I really enjoy that as well. They now have solo versions of it. They came out with like the Tales version or whatever, Tales of the Maze, I think it's called. And recently, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, so you can play it solo if you want. I haven't even played it solo yet. I really want to. But as a 2-player game, head to head, you try and teach someone new. It's great. Also, a quick note is that all the boxes can be basically played by themselves. So it's not this massive investment. If you just really want to try it, you can buy a box for like 20, 25 bucks, whatever it is, and you can play that. And you have everything you need there. And if you want to just like only get one other box, you can do that. And you can mix and match them if you want. But you don't have to get like a core set and like a bunch of expansions for it. You can get kind of whatever you want and go in and out of the series as you want. For our top 3, we're going to start with Ashes Reborn. This is a relaunched edition. So Rise of the Phoenix Born from Plaid Hat Games. They had an original and then they kind of updated the game. So it started off as a competitive card game where you're playing as Phoenix Borns and you're summoning units. You do have these spell boards, and basically you use a handful of dice, 10 dice, as kind of your resources. To me, it's like playing chess in kind of a card format. It's a big brain burner, and it will take a little while to go through things, but you can really think through the process of, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I have a rough idea what they're going to do and what I'm going to do. So I really enjoy it. Now, my favorite thing is that the past year and a half ish, they've really leaned into solo gameplay that you can go against these different like chimeras and stuff like that. Uh, I think it's amazing what they've done with solo. As a game that wasn't really, I guess, supposed to be solo, what they've done with it, I think is phenomenal. I think it's one of the best solo games I've played. Well, obviously, it's number three. And I rank this primarily as a solo game. The enemy system unit to me is more like chess because I really know, generally speaking, what they're going to do. I don't know everything because there is some hidden information, so it's not super simple, but there's enough out there that I can really think through my turn, their turn, my turn, their turn, my turn, their turn. And then if something really goes sideways with theirs, then okay, I have to go back to that process of like, well, how do I want to handle this? Versus other card games where it's like, okay, I know I want to play this, so it's fine. I want to do this. For Ashes, it really feels like, okay, you're going to start off in a really weak spot against an enemy that's pretty strong right out of the gate. So you have to kind of be prepared for that, but it doesn't overwhelm you right away, right? It will be tough right away, but it won't overwhelm you. So I feel like it's a very balanced game in that sense. There's very few times when after like 3 rounds, I'm absolutely demolished by the game. The only exception is if I play really poorly, but generally speaking, like I said, the board state will give you enough time to kind of set up, but you have to be strategic in the way you set up. Also, one note that I didn't really mention or have in my notes here is that the system of how you start the game is really cool. You choose your starting 5 cards. A lot of card games, you just randomly draw and you hope for the best. And sometimes you can mulligan your hand. Not Ashes Reborn. You can just pick the cards that you want. And that's to me one of the most unique things about this, to make sure you start off in that strong position, because you need to start off in that strong position. Ashes Reborn just started now with Ashes Ascendancy. They just came out with their Kickstarter recently. Go check it out on Game Nerds. You can get the core box, I think, pretty cheap. I'm sure Miniature Market or your local game store might have it cheap too. It's a great place to start. And if you're worried about the older content, know that all the older stuff will be print on demand, so you don't have to worry about it like never being attainable. For number 2, I actually thought about putting Ashes Reborn as number 2 and this game as number 3. And I can go either way with these, to be completely honest. But right now, my number 2 game is 20 Strong from Chip Theory Games. This is their modular solo game system that uses 20 custom dice and interchangeable card decks. Each deck brings a different theme and gameplay twist to the game. So they use some of their own IP, where it's like Too Many Bones and Hoplomachus. They're going to be coming out with some stuff from Awakened Realms. They now have all the Tanglewood stuff, which is really good. Highly recommend this game. So basically, you're rolling dice and allocating them to challenges and pushing your luck through a kind of like a roguelite deck of encounters. I really like just the feel of the cards. Obviously, with Chip Theory Games, it's all high quality components. I also really like that it's small box based. Now, you can buy the really big boxes, and I'm sure as your collection gets larger, it becomes a bigger box. But I really like that it's basically a small box that you can kind of carry around, like just not that big. It's pretty small. So really like the game. Each box that they have feels like super unique and different. Like there's no 2 boxes that feel really that close. I was a little worried about Tanglewoods, that there's 3 Tanglewoods with gold, white, and red, I think, and now rose is just coming out. I was a little worried that they would feel too similar, but they don't. They feel very, very different, which is amazing. So one of the things is I want to mention, especially with this one, is that nowadays, if I'm going to invest in a massive box game, it better be amazing. Like I don't mind certain collections like Ashes Reborn or Arkham Horror or 20 Strong that start off kind of small and then can get bigger over time because, hey, I want to keep investing in that game and I want it to be something I really play over and over and over. I see a lot of these Kickstarters that are massive board games, and I'm just not that interested because I don't have the space for it. I'd rather start off small and have that series grow over time because it's also a cheaper investment in the beginning. So like I said, 20 Strong starts off really small and really basic, but I'm sure as they continue to invest in it, it will keep getting bigger and bigger. So if you're interested, probably start in it now. But like I said, I'm a sucker for rolling dice and playing cards, and this is what that is. It does it incredibly well. There's some little rules things. There's a general core list of rules, and then each box or each expansion has its own like changes to those rules or additions to those rules, which sounds like it would be complicated, but once you learn the core rule set, you're pretty good to go. Each box will take you, after you learn the core rules, like 5-10 minutes to learn, and then you'll be good to go. Really, really great game. I do highly recommend just getting one of the core boxes, either the 20 Strong Sentinels, which is a a game that they haven't done. Like they don't have like a separate Sentinels like Hoplomachus, Cloudspire, or Too Many Bones. So Solar Sentinels is just like its own little thing for 20 strong. You can start with that one or start with the Tanglewoods one. I would probably recommend the Tanglewoods one right now because it's really good. It's really, really solid. But in general, highly recommend 20 strong. My number one game should not be a surprise to most people that are fans of this channel, and that's because it is Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight Games. It's a cooperative living card game where it has you building hero decks and taking on villains in different scenario-based battles. The hero design to me really feels like it captures each hero and how they would work or how they would be, right? Wolverine is overly aggressive and hurting himself, but he's healing life each time. You have Spider-Man that's like being able to backflip out of the way of danger and kicking everyone and whatnot. It's really great in the way it plays. And the villains themselves feel really unique and different all the time. Uh, while it's still one of my favorite games of all time, there are flaws with the rule book. There are flaws with certain wording on cards. But despite all that stuff, I still really enjoy it. And I only point out those things because I love it so much, because I want everyone to enjoy this game. But it's important to realize that there are certain downsides to it. I feel like that I still have these amazingly tense moments in the game where I'm playing, maybe an underpowered hero like a Hawkeye or whatever. Like it's a really strong villain or crazy scenario. And it still feels good when you're able to pull out the win. You get those moments where it's just like, I can't believe this all clicked and worked well. Right? I can't believe that my strategy actually worked. And because it's a deck builder, you start off with 15 basic cards that are related to the hero, but you can use different aspects like aggression or protection to really fill out whatever you're trying to do. If you want to be more defensive minded, you could do that with protection, or you want to have more allies, you could do that with leadership. Now, that's not to say in protection you can't have allies, you can, but that's like the general gist, right? Of leadership is to be allies, and aggression for attacking, and justice for thwarting. It's really, really great. And I never want the game to end, but I recognize that obviously at some point it will, right? All games will end. I will say that right now at this point in time, especially if you started early on, there's so much content out there that if it did end today, I'd be okay with it, in the sense that, like, again, I do want new content. I do want certain heroes we haven't received yet. But we have so much right now, and there's so much that we can do, and there's so many options with deck building that the game is in a great place right now. And again, like I said, for those especially that got it early on. Now I know there's a lot of stuff that's out of print that people wish they could get. I hope one day maybe they can, or get better versions of those heroes, because even some of the older stuff, there are, like I said, some heroes that don't work out great. Hulk is usually a prime example of just people struggle with Hulk. Hopefully they redo his design at some point and they make it really fun and interesting for everyone to get, and allow people to be able to get again. So those are the only flaws. But again, it's a super amazing experience every single time you play the game. Multiplayer, I love playing the game. Solo, I love playing the game. Two-handed, I like playing it. I'm just not a big two-handed player person, but I still like doing it. I don't mind doing it. There is a lot to keep track of on the board. There are some rule finicky stuff, but overall, it's, in my opinion, one of the best board game experiences you can have. Even if you can only get the core box and maybe a couple expansions, I still think it's well worth it because it is that good of a game. And hopefully, if your favorite hero has not come out yet, there's always hope, because Daredevil was something that a lot of people had hoped for a long time, and it finally happened. So there's always hope that if you want more spider people like I do, that will get them as well. But my number one game of all time, the 2025 edition, is Marvel Champions. Well, I hope you enjoyed this list. I hope that you didn't mind me doing 25 instead of 10, because like I said, I got a lot of comments of just like, why didn't you mention this game or that game? You've played this a lot, or whatever it may be. So I want to do a little bit bigger of a list. Now, do me a huge favor. Let me know some of your favorites. You don't have to write your top 25. If you want to, feel free, or more, feel free to, and we can discuss it. Or you can go check out the links down below to the Discord, where I'm more than happy to talk about different games and we can hang out and whatnot. Or if you have rules questions on Marvel Champions or other games, we're happy to answer as a community as well. I want to thank everyone that has supported this channel for this past year. I'm truly thankful for each and every one of you that has subscribed to the channel, that has gone and watched the videos, liked stuff, or become Patreon members or YouTube members, or use your Prime sub with Twitch, because if you have Amazon Prime, it's free. You can just give me free money that you've already paid for, or you've used the buy the same token links that are down below to customize your games. However you supported this channel, and like I said, even if that's just watching the videos, thank you. Honestly, This year has been phenomenal. It's been absolutely amazing. We were able to cross 10,000 subscribers this year. I hope next year we can get closer to 20,000. We'll see. But I truly appreciate every single one of you. So, like I said, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff, turn on notifications so you will know when a new video is going live. And I will see you all next time.